Shoot.
Hey, Frankie, how you doing?
What up, Chris? Doing pretty good. Chilling. Enjoying
Yeah,
my
yeah.
Islanders on a hot win streak. They've been pretty hot this year.
Are
So,
they now?
yeah.
Well, we're just opening up another episode of Big Apple Banter, and you know what today marks? By the way, 1 year ago today.
What's that?
It's when the sports world changed because of something called COVID-19. That's where I believe Rudy Gobert tested positive, and they suspended the season, and there was no sports for like 5 months.
Yeah, man. What a clown that guy was. He wasn't even taking it serious. He was touching all the mics and
Yeah,
everything. And what was it? Literally like a couple days after that whole thing, you find out that he tests positive. And Adam Silver decided to shut down the entire NBA. And then what do you know? A couple days later, the NHL decides to shut down. The NFL is already in its off season, so it
and
didn't
Major
affect
League
them.
Baseball.
And then the MLB, they were caught like in hindsight. They didn't know what to do because it was all new to everybody. Nobody knew what to do, how to react to it. So they delayed the season until what, like July? It's crazy. I
Yeah.
mean, what a time without sports. What people had you saw everybody outside more. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I remember it vividly. I can't believe it was a year ago. I remember they were in the middle of spring training. I mean, they were still playing games and they weren't even know what to do because they were waiting for someone else to set the example, which the NBA did. And yeah, it's hard to believe it was a year ago. Really, time flies.
Yeah, and just think 1 year later, and now Texas, they're opening up 100% capacity at Globe Life Field. And I also heard
Yeah.
that they're actually not having no mask required throughout the whole state. So Texas is.
In the state, but on opening day for the Ranger game, there will have to be masks.
Oh yeah,
That's what I heard.
okay. But it's just crazy how and they're probably there is mask required for the game, but statewide there aren't. But it's just crazy how Texas is going, right after it all. I vividly remember I think when they were loosening up restrictions at the beginning, Texas, opened up first, and they immediately had cases rising. So we'll probably see a boom in cases rising in an event like that. It's possible.
It's definitely possible. I mean, we don't want to get political or anything, but when you're getting 100% capacity, even if it's outdoors, I mean, a lot of places now, not every state has minimum capacity for restaurants, but like the other night I went to a restaurant here and they're basically at full capacity again. So is that really that much different? I mean, yeah, maybe you're sitting on top of each other at a baseball game, but I don't know. It just seems it's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, they're going for it, the Rangers. So
Yeah, I mean, why not? I don't. If you're that afraid, stay home. And if you're not afraid, then go for it. That's what it
that,
comes down to. We all have a choice. And if you're afraid, then you have the right to stay home. But if you want to go to a game, then you have the right to go to the game. I mean, that's kind of how it should be. We were all, you know, bedridden pretty much almost for like almost 6 months. Everybody had to stay home. We really couldn't do much, couldn't really interact with anybody, even your own family, just to be
mm,
safe. So, now, you just said we hit this 1 year mark. Vaccines have been administered, nationwide, and hopefully we're getting back to some normalcy. It's going to be crazy. I can't believe, we're at this 1 year mark, and it's hopefully it just
yeah.
goes goes in a positive direction from here on.
Yeah, hopefully everyone's sake. I mean, we want to be over with this BS. We're tired of this virus.
Yeah, but you know
So
what? In other news, let's get back to
yeah,
baseball, because you know what? As we were just saying, the COVID halted spring training, and here we are. We're in the middle of spring training, boy.
there you
Baseball's
go.
back.
Let's
So
go.
it's crazy. Full 162 game season. I'm
Yeah.
pumped. I am super pumped. I love having baseball every day. Mostly, it's pretty much there's 30 days, give or take, in a month. So there's pretty much baseball about 28 out of those 31 days, more or less. So I love baseball. But for that reason and that reason only, let's give the latest from when we talked. The Mets and the Yankees were pretty much kind of quiet on their part for the free agency front. But the latest move that the Mets made, they signed Taiwan Walker to like a 2 year. Actually, it was a 3 year, 23 million deal, but that third year is an option. So it's like a
Mhm.
2-year 20 in that third year. So it actually makes the annual average like 7.5, which helps the Mets for, luxury tax threshold purposes. But, they didn't even crack that. So it was a good signing because now he becomes our fourth starter. And then whenever Syndergaard comes back, he will be our fifth starter. But unfortunately, the Mets are also dealing with Carlos Carrasco, a little bit of elbow soreness. He might not even be ready for opening day. So here we go again with another starting pitcher having an issue with his elbow. So hopefully it's nothing too serious. Rojas says he's optimistic, but hey, when it's spring training, the guy hasn't even pitched yet and he has elbow problems. So if he's not going to be ready for opening day, then you got to look at extended spring training. So he's probably going to miss at least a couple weeks, maybe first 3 weeks, maybe up to a month, depending on how he makes out with his elbow injury throughout the next couple weeks going on forward. So hopefully they'll moderate it and it won't be anything too serious. Because that's the last thing the Mets need is a
Oh, of
blow.
course not. I mean, and me as a Yankee fan, I know all about all the injuries going on. It's definitely a thorn in your side when your team's looking to possibly contend for a championship. So, but if based on all those moves the Mets made this year, I mean, you're the Met fan. How would you grade their offseason?
Honestly, dude, not a lot of Mets fans might agree with me, but I'm gonna go ahead and give them like an A minus. I was thinking about, maybe people might think that's a little too high because they didn't reel in Trevor Bauer, George Springer, or JT Realmuto. But hear me out. Let me explain. With the whole new Steve Cohen regime, bringing in Sandy Alderson, he needed that. So, because don't get me wrong, Mets fans, they wanted Steve Cohen to come in, they wanted his money, they wanted him to spend all his money. And don't get me wrong, I wanted that too. But you also have to be smart with your money. You don't want to just throw out horrible contracts. Look at the Yankees, for example. Jacoby Ellsbury,
God.
travel contract. Currently, Giancarlo Stanton has caused the Yankees to miss out on signing maybe possibly Machado, even though I know you guys are fine without him. Could have been Bryce Harper. But that $30 million really hurts because that could have been another superstar that you guys could have had. So
Absolutely.
you know that's where I'm kind of okay with the Mets not making these absurd contracts, even though they did offer Trevor Bauer that 3-year, $100 million deal to bring him in. Even though I was a little okay with it because it was on the short term side, with opt outs after year after year. Missing out on Springer does hurt, but Toronto gave him 6 years and 150 million. So for that long length of the contract and at that money, the money wasn't really an issue for me. It's just the length. And with 31-year-old center fielder, 6-year contract, you're probably looking to only get maybe like 3 years out of him at center field. But again, it could have been beneficial to the Mets because even though there's probably going to be no DH for this season, as it looks like right now, no DH or expanded playoffs in the future, because the CBA is going to be expired this season, so it's probably going to be into talks for next season. So Springer definitely could have been moved to center field, and that contract could have been a little, you could have looked at it a little bit different because he would have been a DH instead of a 36, 37-year-old center fielder. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give him an A minus because they eliminated a lot of ifs with pitching depth because they have respectable guys as like your number 6 and 7, 8 guys compared to guys they used to have like no name guys like Chris Flexen and Corey Oswalt, like who are freaking losers. No offense to those guys, but
Mhm.
yeah, I really love what they did. All around bringing in Lindor and Carrasco, signing James McCann for a fraction of the price compared to JT Realmuto, who they'll probably put up similar numbers, maybe not as in the power department, but defensive metrics they're pretty close, and I'll take it for a fraction of the price. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give my Mets an A minus over there. What do you?
Yeah,
What do you agree? Do you agree? You disagree?
I mostly agree. I mean, yeah, I'd probably give him either A minus or a B plus for the offseason. Obviously, the Lindor move was a no brainer. That gave him credibility immediately. I mean, he's one of the top players in baseball at his position, especially. So that was a huge move, just to change the whole perception around the Mets organization from being
Absolutely.
cheap and not going after big fish, and so to speak, in the offseason. I mean, so right there, that automatically puts them at, high B. And then when you consider that they also piece together Carrasco to go along in that rotation with DeGrom, and, when Syndergaard comes back, potentially having, one of the top rotations shirt up in baseball right there. And then also you got to be optimistic that Alonso is going to bounce back. I mean, last year was a shortened season. He struggled a little bit based on the season prior.
Yeah, a lot of superstars struggled last year, so you can't count that 60 games.
Exactly. I mean, I saw earlier, I think he hit a home run tonight in spring training. I saw.
Yeah, spring training's been training. Doesn't really mean much.
Well, of course, but it's good to see him, somewhat some power back.
Seen him hitting bombs, then striking out 3 times a game. So, yeah, you're definitely right about that.
And then, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Real Muto, I mean, he's had a couple good seasons back-to-back. Yeah, he's probably one of the top catchers in baseball, but not at the money he was going to be owed. So, yeah, they got a bargain in McCann. And then also, yeah, with, I already said I don't like Springer. I thought he was a product of the Houston, what do you want to call it, their scandals or whatever is going on over there. He's a good player, yes, but he's not a superstar. So I think Toronto way overpaid for him.
Yeah.
And so I'd say, roughly A- B+ for the Mets, and it was a solid offseason. I mean, some Met fans, like you said, weren't excited that they didn't sign everyone, like they were freaking George Steinbrenner going after everyone, but it's a good start for sure.
Yeah, those Mets fans have to calm down. It's just year 1 of Stevie Cohen. There's going to be year 2, there's going to be year 3, and many, many more after that. So calm down, hit the hit the gas pedal. And just slow down. Wait till next offseason when there's going to be other superstars available, and then the offseason after that. Because he's making this team a place to be. And with all the other talent around this team, it's going to be crazy. They're going to be contending for the next few years. So it's going to be exciting, especially when you got DeGrom on the mound every 5th day.
Absolutely. He's poised for another Cy Young if he stays healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. The dude just keeps throwing harder and harder every year, so it's insane. Well, we'll get into that a little later.
Absolutely. I mean, let's transition to the other team in town, the Yankees offseason.
Yeah, man. So yeah, their latest move. They
right.
We were just talking about free agent touches. They brought back Brett Gardner on a 1-year, $4 million deal. So, it's a clubhouse guy. He was the last Yankee to be on that 2009 championship team. So It's definitely you want to bring that presence in the you want to keep that guy in the clubhouse. He's a great guy for that team. He does it all. He does all the little things. He runs hard all the time. He plays hard. He essentially is almost, you could throw him as one of those classic vintage Yankees because he just, when you think of a Yankee, it's almost Brett Gardner now because he's the only one left of that championship team.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we were hoping him and CeCe were going to be the leaders on a future team, but CeCe's retired, and yeah, Brett Gardner is the only one left. So he's going to be the 4th or 5th outfielder, yes, because you know what, Clint Frazier is going to be starting left. It looks like to go along with Hicks and with Judge and Wright.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a lot of moves to be made this offseason in the Bronx. I mean, they were pretty much already built. I mean, last year when they brought in the big free agent Garrett Cole, you weren't going to be expecting a lot going on this offseason, especially with the uncertainty with the season. But you know what? They did the important things. They brought back DJ LeMahieu, who was their major concern of leaving. I mean, he's the heart and soul of that offense. He keeps that team going.
Yeah.
And then Tanaka in the rotation, we're sad to see him go, but they're taking a chance on a former did Kluber win the Cy Young a few years ago?
Yeah, he's a former Cy Young winner. Yep.
Yeah, so they're taking a chance on a former Cy Young winner. I mean, he's had his health concerns over the past couple seasons, but he's going to be plugged right there in the second spot behind Cole. And then you also have Tyrone, who they traded for from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, James with Tyrone.
So those are two, boom or bust potential players right there. And that's going to be important to see being second, third in your rotation, especially when you don't know when Severino's coming back.
Yeah, you don't know. Him and Syndergaard, both Tommy John.
Exactly. Those are the X factors on both those teams. They can really turn their pitching staffs into good, into great, and make it caliber.
Because you're only going to be adding the depth. Everybody moved down the spot now, so it's definitely only going to, be beneficial to the team, both teams.
And you know what? Yeah, we saw Zach Britton's going to be out for the first few months of the season, so that hurts a little bit, stings.
I think that could be really detrimental to the Yankees bullpen because now that you have your eighth inning guy out, and he might have been your best reliever last year, you
Yeah, he
know,
was. Chapman is
outside
very inconsistent.
exactly. So if Chapman does have some inconsistencies in early in the season, it's really going to hurt not having Britton there because now every other guy is going to move up a spot. Chad Green, and then every other guy beneath them. And honestly, I can't even name some other guys in the Yankees bullpen outside of Green, Britton, and Chapman. I really don't know their bullpen depth that much.
No, I mean
I don't even know if he's still on the team.
who?
Chase and Shreve. See on the
No, he
team?
hasn't been on this team in a couple of years.
Yeah, yeah. See on the
Um,
team now.
I'm thinking maybe Davey Garcia is going to be the long man if he's on the rotation. Um, yeah, I mean, those are the big names in the bullpen. This could probably be a lot of minor leaguers in there, which there usually is. But yeah, the Yankees, they just got to stay healthy, obviously, and that's not a good start. But you know what? He'll be back. He'll be back by summer. As long as he's there towards the end of the season in October, it won't be a problem. But yeah, this rotation is going to be the question mark, and we got to see how these guys, if they could stay healthy, could put together a nice season.
So what's your letter grade on these guys?
Uh, because they brought back LeMahieu, and that was really the only move to make. I mean, I would like to see them add another bullpen arm, and they are, like I said, taking big chances with the rotation with those guys. So I'm gonna say roughly, uh, I'll say a B minus for the
Yeah,
Yankees.
it's kind of like what I gave the Yankees a B, and I was probably being generous there. Yeah, I'll probably even agree with you on that B minus because you know what they don't bring back Tanaka, and I think that could hurt them because you kind of know what you have in Tanaka. He's a reliable workhorse and dependable in the playoffs. And then you're bringing in a guy who hasn't pitched in 2 years, even though he does have a Cy Young in Corey Kluber. But the guy hasn't pitched in 2 years. And then Jameson Tyone is also coming off of Tommy John surgery. And with the 60-game season last year and both guys not pitching not so much, it could really affect them going deep into ball games this year. And now with your bullpen even more in a shortage, I guess you could say now, who knows how it could affect you guys. I mean, don't get me wrong, your lineup is incredible and you could outscore pretty much anybody. But, you guys have to score a lot of runs almost every single night, depending on, how your starting pitching goes night in and night out outside of Cole and your bullpen.
And and it's funny every year I feel like we're having the same conversation. Do the Yankees have enough pitching to get it to a World Series?
Same thing
And
with
every
the Mets. They never show up with the bullpens. The same question every year.
it is. I mean, but the Yankees usually have one of the best, if not the best, bullpen in Major League Baseball. But that rotation is always a question mark, and it seems like every postseason their downfall is actually their lineup.
Yeah.
So we always talk about how great the lineup is in the season, but when it comes down to that postseason, they seem to struggle. So hopefully that trend finally changes because this team, I think it's championship or bust. Really, it's
Yeah.
been that for the last 2 years probably, but especially with a full season of Cole now, and you got your full arsenal ready. I mean, you got to get to the World Series this year. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, hold on, pause. Let's tell off real quick, and then we'll come back, and then we'll dive into the expectations for the Mets and Yankees for the upcoming season, for the rotations, lineup, and who's under the most pressure. So we'll be right back with tell off, and then we'll get into that.
Sounds good.
All right, welcome back to Big Apple Banter. So, as I was just saying before, right before we left for the break, we're gonna dive into the season expectations for the Mets and Yankees. We're 3 weeks away from opening day. I cannot believe that April 1st, 3 weeks away. I am. This is crazy, dude. 162-game season. It's gonna be a long season for both these teams.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we're just excited. Baseball's gonna be back at full capacity. No 60-game seasons.
Yeah,
No spring training. Let's get down to baseball.
Hell yeah, brother. But yeah, so now that opening day is going to be 3 weeks away. We're kind of just talking about it. You kind of we're getting into it right before we toweled off. But yeah, you were kind of just saying it. This season for the Yankees, it's championship or bust. And pretty much every season for the Yankees and Yankees fans, it's championship or bust. And since 2009, the Yankees haven't made it to the promised land. And it's probably, I don't know, I don't know. I wish I'd done the research actually on the break, but it's probably been a while since it's been a decade without a Yankees being to a World Series. So
Are you saying when's the last time they didn't go a decade?
right,
Or
yeah, like a
they
full
never
decade.
have.
Never has. It was the first time
That the
ever.
tens was the first time. Yeah, I remember that statistic a few months ago. I heard that.
Wow. See, exactly. This is what I'm saying. So, this is unprecedented time for Yankees fans. They're really itching now. You guys are really itching. So, as we touched on it a couple shows ago, the American League is a cakewalk. In my opinion. So the Yankees should have no problem getting there, despite the early season injuries and woes so far that the Yankees are experiencing right now. But outside of that, yeah, I agree with you, dude. It's championship or bust. That team
Yes, I
has to
mean
make it to the World Series, and yeah, they have to. They have to. You guys have to win it. It's just
we have to win it, but at minimum, we need to be in it. We need to win
yeah,
the pennant. I mean, really, who's our competition? The White Sox, who are still young, they're still up and coming. And then in your own division, Toronto, really? They're not on. It's seriously. I mean, the Astros are taking a step back. It's the Rays too. You got to figure they're going to take a step back.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You might think the Rays will take a step back, but they kind of have the same lineup. They're gonna have a full season of Randy Arozarena. So let's see what this dude will
That
do
was
in
a
the full
fluke,
season. Yeah, well, I know he was a postseason hero, so we'll see. We'll see what this guy does in a full season.
but no snow.
He probably won't. He's not going to do what he did in the postseason because it's just
No, it's not
just
possible.
ponderous. But he did. Excuse me. But either way, he's going to be one of those bright spots for the Rays in the season. And despite trading Snell, they did bring in some other starting pitchers. So they're the Rays. They always figure out a way to win like 90 games. So you can't count them out. And I think honestly, although the Astros did take a step back, they're not going to have Verlander, and they don't have Garrett Cole obviously for the last 2 years. So, but they did sign Jake Odorizzi. He's nothing special, but he does add some depth to their starting rotation. So, you can't count them out. Their lineup. They did lose Springer, but they got some guys: Kyle Tucker, Jordan Alvarez. They got some young guys in there that could make up the difference. But will they push the Yankees? I don't think so. So, yes, as we both agree, they have to get it. At least bare minimum win the pennant.
It's funny you brought that up, the Astros. Um, we were talking about Texas. Are the Astros also going to have somewhat of a large capacity of fans?
Honestly, I don't know. I really don't know.
I'm just curious. Well, a lot of the hatred, last year they were going to get booed at every stadium,
Right.
but they got fortunate. There was no fans. It's going to be interesting to see if they have that same vitriol and anger towards that team when they come into opposing stadiums.
They definitely caught a break. Last year because everybody kind of forgot about it a little bit. I'm sure it'll come back when fans start going to the games little by little.
Definitely in the Bronx.
But the hatred, going into last season compared to this season, I say, the hatred was here and now it's probably a little bit more here.
Yeah,
It's probably not as high as it was a year ago.
Yeah, they really made out like bandits, literally. But yeah, you already know what I feel. The Yankees got to get to the World Series. They got to win it. 28 titles got to come this year.
I hope not, but yeah, that's what.
You hope not, but it's a strong possibility that it happens.
If I was a betting man, I would at least bet the Yankees making it to the World Series. Mm-hmm. So, I think that's a cakewalk. I think that's a lock. But
hope you're right.
So as far as the Mets for their expectations, because both teams are expected to win 95 plus games according to Fangraphs and some other Pacoda, like both those win projections. So I don't want to get my hopes up because although they did bring in Lindor and Carrasco, I don't know how that will equate to like a 10 win above replacement kind of thing or whatever that is. But this team is primed to score a lot of runs. They were 7th in the NL in offense, but they were also 3rd in OPS. So the team can hit. They do get on base. So with the additional Lindor, and he does bring the speed aspect to the team, which they've been lacking a lot of. So that's going to be a tremendous positive for the team. But otherwise, I expect them to win, 90 to 95 games, and even more. I expect them to win 93 to 95 games. I would hope so. Outside of I think they should, because DeGrom with this lineup now and this pitching depth with Syndergaard coming back, because he's throwing pretty good. I've seen some videos of him throwing. He looks like he's coming back stronger than ever. He's coming back maybe sooner, but I don't want to push him either. But yeah. I don't know if they'll win the division. I would like them to win the division. I don't expect them to win the division, but if they want to make the playoffs without expanded playoffs, they're going to have to be top two. And the Braves are going to be a tough competition. The Nationals have a crazy pitching staff, and they got Juan Soto. The Phillies are going to be a little bit pesky. I don't really care about their pitching outside of Aaron Nola, and he's all right. But otherwise, I think the Mets can do it. I think they're primed for it. This offense, I think, could be top five in the NL, maybe top five in the majors with the Yankees, Dodgers, and Padres. So
No, is I'm not sure 100% of this. Is there going to be a DH in the National League? I don't remember.
No. As of right now, there's going to be no DH, no expanded playoffs. So yeah, if you want to go into that, one of my biggest concerns right now for the Mets is going to be that there is no DH. That's going to hurt them on the offensive side, of course, and
Sure.
On defense. I'm worried about the defense, because defense has always been a question mark for them, because they play guys out of position. The only two positions that they really don't have to worry about for defense is shortstop and Lindor, and then James McCann at backstop. So, Alonso, he's not the greatest at first. McNeil, I would say he's a little slightly above average at second. And then you got JD Davis at third, who's probably a little bit below average. And then whoever plays in left, Dom Smith, he's below average in left field. Nimmo is not a center fielder. And then Michael Conforto is an average right fielder. So defense has always been an issue, but at least they have shortstop, shortstop, and catcher. Catcher has always been a problem for them. They've been the worst at stolen bases allowed over the last few seasons, especially when Noah Syndergaard's on the mound. So hopefully having McCann backstopping is definitely going to improve that defense back there. So yeah, those are going to be my top concerns, as well as bullpen depth, because Seth Lugo is going to be out for a little bit, and the bullpen's always a problem. Diaz, he could be hit or miss on some nights. He's got electric stuff, but it could all fall apart for him just in a matter of seconds. As long as with the same thing with Familia and Betances, they got nasty stuff, but they don't got control. So bullpen, no DH, and defense are my three concerns for the New York Mets.
Yeah, and I don't understand why they didn't go ahead and just make a universal DH. I really don't get that. I mean, that's on the Players Association and Major League Baseball. They couldn't reach an agreement on that. And I agree. That's really going to hurt the Mets' offensive potential. I mean, they still have a bright potential, definitely. But I mean, they could put them on a level of several American League teams. I mean, no, that's always been an unfair advantage, how one league has a DH and the other one doesn't. And yeah, I remember you've been discussing ad nauseum about their lack of bullpen. I mean, that's going to be an issue, I think, more later in the season as the starting pitching gets tired off, coming back to a full season instead of the 60-game season. We're going to see it DeGrom and everyone is going to survive that. And then, if they make a postseason run, that's going to be a concern. So I would look for them at the deadline to potentially add some bullpen arms. That's always a chance. And I know the Mets aren't known to be a good defensively sound team. That's been the MO the last few seasons. I agree. Lindor is a top at his position defensively. That's going to be no issue. And I already knew, second base is out of position and third base.
Pretty much every outside of shortstop and catcher and first base, everybody's in their position. Everybody's out of their position. But
right.
Alonso's just a mediocre defender.
Don Smith, right? Isn't he play left field?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. He's a first
Yeah.
base outfielder, but he played. He's a true first baseman, great
Yeah,
defender.
because he's
That's
too
why we
big to
need the
play outfield.
DH. So Alonso could DH on some nights,
Exactly.
and Smith plays at first. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. And although the DH really affects offense, but it could also affect defense because look at Gary Sanchez, for example. They got him all
Yeah.
worked up on, focusing on defense. The guy forgot how to hit a damn baseball. So, he's looking to bounce back this season. So,
Yeah.
for
Yeah, I
my,
agree.
yeah, go
I
ahead. Go
agree
ahead.
with the Mets concerns. Those are pretty sound. I mean, that's pretty well known by the fan base and by the news media. That yeah, that's going to be their concern defensive, or that's going to be standing in their way for a potential World Series run. But we'll see what happens.
Defenseless
Like we said,
championships.
yeah, that's the old verbiage, right? Especially in football. And then yeah, when we turn over the Yankees concerns, I've already discussed how those second and third slots in the rotation might be a potential issue with the unknown of the health of these guys.
Yeah.
And then Cole also, even Cole. I mean, God forbid he went down. I mean, that's amazing. That you'd be just. Yeah, I mean, they probably still make the playoffs. They would just power through, slug their way through, but that would hurt their chances of making a real serious run.
Yeah.
And then yeah, it's just the health of the team. I mean, that's been the discussion for 4 years now.
That's exactly what it's exactly what I had.
4 years now we've been dealing with this team. Is Aaron Judge going to play a full season, or at least more than 130 games?
Yeah, no, it's over since he played 155 games his first season. Then ever since then it was like 120, 112, and then last year he played 28 out of the 60. So yeah, this guy, unfortunately, Aaron Judge, he has not been able to stay healthy over the last 3 seasons. And after his amazing rookie season, you haven't been able to see his full potential because this guy should be a top 5 player in the game, but you haven't been able to see that.
Mm-hmm. And then it's basically the same prototype of player, Stanton, even more so. Is he going to stay healthy more than friggin' 5 games a season? I mean, this guy's always on the DL. He's got to stay healthy. And then is Sanchez going to bounce back from being an absolute embarrassment at the plate? I mean, he looks okay in spring training so far, but that's practice games.
Yeah, man. I mean, they had the Mendoza line. Now they're going to have like a Gary Sanchez line. So.
Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, I don't know what happened. I don't know how he could go. He went downhill so quickly. He looked like a dual threat from the catcher position. He looked like on his track to the Hall of Fame, and then he freaking lost his vision at the plate. I don't know what happened with that guy. I hope he regains his confidence and form.
They messed him up somehow, but yeah, hopefully. Hey, it's an offseason, new start. Maybe he's got like all those bad juju off of him.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he's vibing this year, and I think he's looking. Everybody's saying I've heard Judge, Boone, they're all speaking highly of him this season. So if he could be your bright spot, which could turn the Yankee season around if other guys aren't hitting. If he could pick up some slack on the nights that Stanton's not out or Judge, because you got a lengthy lineup. The Yankees got a lengthy lineup, so he could be primed to do some damage when he's not expected to be.
Yeah, that'd be a huge boost because I'm also concerned, potentially is Gleyber Torres going to bounce back? You would think so. And is he a liability at shortstop? I mean, he was a great second baseman. Now he's over to short since Didi left, and he was shaky. He was shaky last year there. And then Clint Frazier, now he's going to be the everyday left fielder. His defense in the past has been a struggle out there.
Hey, I mean, that's something you're going to live with because the offensive upside that he provides.
Sure.
You guys, I really like the Yankees lineup. It's crazy because if you guys had a way more formidable pitching staff, the Yankees would be really even more scarier. Like you guys are scary, but if you guys had more sure things in your rotation compared to Tyone and Kluber, and then obviously Sevy coming back, you guys would be really really scary because when you have LeMahieu, Torres, Judge, Stanton, Sanchez.
If Sanchez is back, yeah.
And then Andujar or Urshela, whatever the two are playing, and
Urshela.
yeah, and then Frazier, who I didn't even
But
mention.
we
Like, this is what I'm saying. You guys have the depth of the Yankees lineup is incredible, and Clint Frazier can hit the damn baseball.
he can.
So, I think the Yankees are going to be putting up some pretty big numbers this season for offensive stats. I'm no doubt about that.
Yeah, dude. If Kluber looks anything like his Cy Young form and Tyone is healthy and Severino comes back, they are that team. They are, that scary ass. They're the what?
The
What's
evil
the word I'm
empire, I
looking
guess you
for?
could kind of say it.
They're what?
The evil empire.
That's what I was looking for. The Evil Empire would definitely be back, and they would be en route to a championship.
Yeah, and then the only, the Dodgers will definitely be in their way for sure. The
Yeah,
Padres could be, but the Dodgers are ahead of the Padres still in my head.
yeah, definitely.
And
Because Dodgers been there, done that. Now they have that experience under their belt.
yeah, now that they got that chip off their shoulder, they're coming back hungrier than ever. Their owner spent more money this year than last season. Excuse me, going over the threshold, even like $30 million more. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So it's the Dodgers are just primed and hungry. So they want seconds.
So who do you think's under the most pressure then on the Mets?
So you got to say it's Lindor, and the reason why I say it's Lindor is he's the new face, and you kind of got to look at it almost from the Dodgers standpoint. When they brought in Mookie Betts last season, he was probably under the most pressure for the Dodgers because Dodgers fans probably look to him to bring them home a chip, and he did it in his first year. And because he did that on his first year, maybe Mets fans, not me, but maybe some Mets fans will be like, if Mookie Betts could do it, Lindor should be able to do it. So he could be under that kind of pressure. And then even in New York media, also he is eligible for a contract extension. So there's a lot of variables that put Lindor for me to be under the most pressure this season.
He's definitely be under a lot of pressure. I would lean. It's kind of a tie between two players. I'm thinking more so Pete Alonso and Michael Conforto. I mean, Michael Conforto is entering a contract here, correct?
Yes, he is.
So he's going to have that in the back of his mind. He's going to be playing for a new deal. And Alonso, he's got to bounce back and have the same confidence he did season prior. I mean, he's becoming that homegrown guy on the team that will surpass Lindor because Lindor is not homegrown here. So if he returns to form, he will be the head of that team, not Lindor. And I think there's a lot of pressure to, be that homegrown guy and be the face of the franchise. So either one of those guys, I would lean towards having a lot of pressure on this upcoming season.
Agree. Yeah, I don't disagree, and you made some valid points there. And yeah, with Alonso having an insane rookie season and not being able to follow that up in a sophomore year, yeah, he needs to bounce back this season. So yeah, he definitely under a lot of pressure this season too, no doubt about it. And as
Yeah, what do you think about the Yankees?
Yeah, and then as for the Yankees, I think this is the obvious choice. It's got to be Aaron Judge. The dude's got to stay healthy. He plays 160. These position players are meant to play 162 games. I wouldn't necessarily want to pin it on a pitcher because they only play 30 to 32 games out of the 160.
Right.
So, I don't want to really put all that pressure on a pitcher because he can only do so much out of those 30-something games. So for me, it's got to be Aaron Judge. He's the face of your franchise. The dude hasn't been able to stay healthy, and he needs to stay healthy to propel this Yankees team to endure their 20th championship.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna have a two-parter as well. I was gonna have a pitcher and an everyday player, and I was gonna put Kluber in there. But I think that's fair to say, yeah, he only pitches every fifth day, so that's unfair. But yeah, I think you got to go with Judge. I mean, Judge was en route to be the next captain of the team, and he is the guy on that team. He is the face of the franchise. He needs to bounce back and show that he can stay healthy, especially if he wants a new contract in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, his contract's not up till he's 31. I mean, the Yankees really going to give a long-term deal to a guy 31 who can't stay healthy in his 20s?
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest question mark. Of course, that's going to be the biggest decision for the Yankees to make. And he's got to play well and show that he can stay healthy over a full season. Because if he can't, are the Yankees going to want to make that kind of financial commitment to a guy in his 30s who can't stay healthy, even though he's the face of the franchise, like that's going to be a really, really tough decision to make if you got to let that guy walk or not.
And
Or he's got to maybe look at it, hey, I'm not, I can't stay healthy, but I want to be here the rest of my career. He's going to have to take a discount then if he wants to stay with the Yankees.
that's why I wonder if they went to him now and gave him a deal at a cheaper rate, would he take it just for the security?
Yeah, I mean, he should look into that. I mean, it's crazy now that, look at the Padres. They locked up, Tatis to a 14-year, $330 million deal. And a few seasons ago, the Atlanta Braves locked up Acuna to an 8-year, $100 million deal. So they're right, they're neck and neck for talent. They have the same talent, and one guy's getting paid $226 million more than the other. So it's crazy how if you lock these guys up early before they show their true talents or true potential, you could get a bargain deal. I know the White Sox did it with I think Louis Robert, their prospect last season. He didn't even play a game for them, and they signed him to like a 6 or 7 year contract.
Wow.
So
That's the new trend in baseball.
Yeah,
Lock them up.
I agree with it, dude. I think it's a because look at the Yankees. The Yankees did it with Sevy, but unfortunately, it hasn't worked
It
out.
didn't work. And Hicks.
And
They did it with Hicks as well, and he got hurt almost immediately.
So sometimes it can be beneficial, and then sometimes it can come right back to bite you in the ass. So,
and it definitely has with the Yankees, as we know.
All right, man. So let's close this segment out. It's been great talking about baseball. I can't wait. 3 weeks away, but the final debate: DeGrom or Cole? Who are you taking?
I guess it's close, but I think you got to go with DeGrom. I mean, he's won constant Cy Youngs, and he's been on one team and he showed out. I mean, still Cole has to show that he was good in Pittsburgh, and then he really transcended into that guy in Houston. You got to show that wasn't just Houston's analytic department and whatever they were polling over there helping him. So that's still yet to be proven. So I think that you have to go with DeGrom. You have to go with DeGrom.
Yeah, man. I agree. DeGrom is calm, cool, and collective. When this dude is at his worst, he's still at his best. So, I will put DeGrom. I will give DeGrom the ball for Game 7 every chance I can. And it's just, to me, there's no debate. As you said, the guy's got he's back-to-back Cy Youngs. He almost won 3 in a row. And if not for a 60-game season, I think he probably would have won it if the season would have been, had a little bit more longevity to it. But hey, it is what it is, and I think he's primed for a third one this season. This dude's velocity goes up every year. He was averaging like 96 miles an hour. Then it went up to like 97, 98, and this dude's already hitting 102 miles an hour this spring. So I can't wait for. I think he's primed to throw a no-hitter this season. I'm not even kidding. I think that could happen this season. And if there's a prop bet out there for it, I'm going to hit up my buddy because I'm going to bet on it because he's coming. He's on a mission this season. When he's on the mound, I've never seen a pitcher pitch with the demeanor he has. It's just ridiculous. He knows what he's doing. He has a plan for every batter he's facing when he's on the mound. And when he's stuck, like I just said, even when he's at his worst, he's calm, cool, and collective. He just knows what to do. He doesn't get frustrated. He doesn't get flustered. And that's really hard because a lot of pitchers, they break, and he doesn't. We've seen that. We've seen it in the playoffs in 2015 against the Dodgers. I've seen it. So this dude is primed for another Cy Young season. I'm saying it right here, right now, that I think he's going to throw a no-hitter this season, and I can't wait for it. Ready to root for him.
Wow. Yeah, I wouldn't underestimate him doing anything, really. That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if he threw a no-hit. So,
Out of all the nasty Met pitchers there have been, only one has thrown a no hitter, and
Oh,
there's even a fluke call on
yeah,
it.
Johan Santana. But
At Seaver, they have Gooden, and all some other pitchers who've been on the Mets have thrown the no hitters for other teams, like Gooden on the Yankees. So it's the Mets. Hopefully, I think DeGrom. He's going to be he's the next best choice to throw on, and I think he's primed for one this season.
doesn't always seem though that the guys that throw no hitter are some like third or fourth guy in the rotation.
Right? We could go back on a list, and you'll see some no namers on there.
I know. I mean, I remember Homer Bailey years ago threw a no hitter,
Yep.
and that guy was an average at best pitcher. But yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it at all. He definitely looks locked in for, he's trying to go for a title. He's in his 30s now. He wants to solidify his career and win a championship.
Yeah, man. He's just like Juan. He's only getting better with age, but you want to win now. You don't want to wait till this guy's 37, 38 years old, and you have.
He is human. He's going to break down at some point.
Exactly. Even though he didn't start pitching until he was, he's a late bloomer. He position changed, so his arm doesn't have the same amount of miles on it as other pitchers might. But still, he's 32, and you want to win now. You don't want to wait till the guy's he's falling. His body starts falling off.
Absolutely. Same thing. You could say the same thing about Cole, right? I mean, Cole's 30. He's got to live up to that contract in the Bronx. So both, I mean, you can't go wrong with either of these pitchers. They're both of the top, I don't know what, 3-4 pitchers in baseball easily. And they have a lot of pressure on them to get it done this year. I mean, both teams have aspirations, and they're the leader of that team. So, especially the rotation. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, man. 3 weeks away. Can't wait.
Yeah, right. 3 weeks, dude.
All right, man. Well, this was fun, and I'll talk to you. Talk to you next week. Thanks, everybody, for listening and watching. We appreciate it. If you've got anything to say, you can email us at bigapple9495@gmail.com. You can also catch us on Facebook at Big Apple Banter or Twitter. Thanks, everybody. Peace.